The following episode of Unpacked and Unplugged contains mature content and may be unsuitable for younger listeners.
Welcome to Unpacked and Unplugged, where we give a narrative of life, love, and the world's complexities through our lens.
Hey family, how's everybody doing today? Hope your week was filled with so much joy. We are back for another episode of Unpacked and Unplugged with the Britons. How you feeling, babe?
Um, I'm a little drowsy.
So that's gonna be your one word to describe how you feeling today?
Man, rested.
Rested. Oh, okay. Well, my one word is gonna be hopeful. I'm hopeful that everything's gonna work out. Everything that I thought wasn't gonna work out is gonna work out.
Hopeful.
Hopeful. All right, listeners, I want you to take a moment to think of a word that describes how you are feeling right now. If that is something that's negative, please talk to someone that you trust. Mental health is very important, and sometimes we just need to process things with a willing and listening ear. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right, y'all. If you have heard the disclaimer, then you know that this is a mature episode. We are about to discuss two things that affect relationships and marriages the most. This episode is entitled Funny Money and No Honey.
Mm-hmm. We're about to tackle both of them.
Yes.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well. So, this episode may be a little extended then, huh?
Just a tad.
Okay. Well, well, all right. Let's unpack the first issue that many couples face, which is money. Money, 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 money. Ooh. So baby, why do couples fight over money?
You know, I've heard so many things.
Uh, so what? It's just not about the money. Normally, it's about several things. But we're going to discuss most important reasons why people, couples fight over money. It goes a little deeper. Normally, we're arguing over our beliefs, shared finances, and sometimes it's a power struggle.
Okay then. Well, let's unpack those in ways that we can start the conversation or help people start the conversation so we can save
Yeah,
marriages
we gotta help.
and serious relationships.
Mm,
So what was the first one you named?
beliefs.
Beliefs.
Yeah.
Many people use their background, their past to make money decisions.
Because
Um,
like we will always talk about, life is about experiences,
mhm.
and so your experience from your background,
Mhm.
decides what you do with your finance.
Right. Maybe, some of us had parents. Some people, I ain't gonna say some of us, but some of us had parents who were good with their money.
Mm.
They showed you how to balance a checkbook
Mhm.
and how to, go through the clearance rack
I
and
used to hate that.
and buy things that you need instead of always buying the things that you want.
Not the clearance rack, the balancing the checkbook.
The
I used to hate
clearance rack, we need that. That's that
Yeah,
is a life
I
skill.
mess with the clearance rack.
That's a
For real.
life skill. Okay. Or you could have had a parent that was living what I've heard from
Outside of their means.
outside of their means from pillar to post,
Sh-
struggling every month, both gainfully employed but struggling every month because they were making poor spending
what do they
decisions.
call it? Champagne taste beer budget.
Definitely. I mean, and so kids see that, kids recognize that, and if they're not equipped with money spending skills, economic skills, um, then they're going to grow up and learn as they go. And what happens when people learn as they go with money? Credit score.
Credit score, yeah.
We won't have um we won't have good credit scores.
Credit score.
So
I mean, just overall, just negative balances and all that. It's just the ends don't meet. Don't meet up.
right. Oh yeah. What's the negative balance called?
Insufficient funds.
insufficient
Insufficient funds.
funds, but they help you out by giving you some extra money. But when you help somebody out in the end, they want the money back. So anyway, so either you're gonna be a good steward with your money or you're gonna mishandle your finances. If you are in a relationship with someone who has a different upbringing than you, and they have an opposite set of beliefs than you have, it's gonna cause some turmoil eventually.
Well, it's not really a if, it's more so of a when. When you gonna have that first encounter where you guys disagree. Money being that it's always one of the core factors to why people have arguments and breakups in relationships. It's it's about when you learn your partner's uh, frequency with money, how they use it, how they spend it, um, how they save it, just how they handle money as a whole.
Mm.
So, huh?
It's tough. I've known people who were in a relationship. So let's just give an example. I'm not gonna name names. But let's give an
You
example.
better not name
Someone
names.
in a relationship with someone who made very good money, but their money was used to show their status, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they met someone very frugal with their money who saved in case of an emergency, saved that 9 month cushion, like Susie Orman says we have to do, that 9 month cushion just in case someone lost their job or was laid off. They were able to sustain the quality of life
Mm-hmm.
for an extended period of time until they're able to find employment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you get with this other person who is making all of this money and spending on getting new cars every 2 years. So that's hitting the pockets, and that's hitting credit every 2 years. Somebody who likes to buy jewelry, someone who likes to buy things that depreciate in value for the most part, things that depreciate, right? And so you get these two people in a relationship, and they're just so different because one is so loosely spending, and the other is trying their best to save every nickel and dime that they earn. So it's uneven. I'm saving my money, but you're not saving your money. So when we get in a bind, all we have is the money that I saved.
Yeah. Well, that's that doubles back also to that mindset of the breadwinner, whomever it is. If it's the spouse, that one spouse works, the other spouse is at home parent. If it's the situation where we both work, but I make substantially more than you,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's just that mindset of, oh, because you're the man,
Mm.
regardless how much money you make, you're supposed to handle the bills. And as a female, my money goes towards, I don't know, food and extra stuff. That's it. But that's stuff that I've run into
Mm.
throughout my life, is that kind of way of thinking, where you have some female women that just, okay, I'm a female. The man's supposed to pay the bills,
Mm.
or uh, I'm taking care of home, so bring home the check and we spend your money, whatever. Um, or you make more money, so you should take care of this, and then whatever you have left over is yours, and then I keep what's mine. It's so many different ways of thinking when it comes to this financial aspect. It's a conundrum, It's one of look, the ninth wonder of the world or something like that, to figure it out. Um,
So so essentially, so essentially, it comes down to somebody feeling like the other is being selfish with their spending and not communicating expectations before it gets to that point.
mhm.
Because let me ask you this: would you have gotten into a relationship with someone who had that mindset initially?
No, well, obviously that everything with this, like we say, it comes back to communication, but it's those things that are flawed about dating. because you don't ask those questions. Sometimes you feel like, oh, okay, can I ask a person about their money? But which you should. You know, they're saying nowadays if you look up, good ways to date now, Google it or something, it'll tell you that you're supposed to know a person's credit score, or you're
Mm.
supposed to, yeah, it's
In dating?
silly. Yeah, now
Oh.
they say that's a big thing, is to know a person's credit score, knowing what, you just, maybe you don't ask, but you Google what your partner does to see what your income range
The
is.
average.
Yeah, their average range is or something. And
Mm.
it's just like, so you have a mindset of, you know, where they are, or, you know what I'm saying? What if you are the top 1% and you dating somebody that's, makes $50,000 a year, and your expectation is to go to a restaurant where, spending 200 to $500 a meal,
Mm-hmm.
but yet they can't afford that. So the two don't match up.
Mm.
And overall expectation. That's another experience of mine where, it was a good mindset. Well, I was a woman taught me what she does is I gift myself. Basically, when I get my check,
Mm-hmm.
first thing I do is I buy something I want.
Mm-hmm.
So that way it
Mm-hmm.
keeps me from splurging later. I
Mm-hmm.
said, oh, that's a good little technique.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna steal that.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got another little technique as to the, in the mindset of budgeting. You still got a lot of people who, what is it, $100 every paycheck, I stick in a savings account or
Mm-hmm.
something. Whatever
Or a
your number is,
percentage.
whatever
Some
your
percentage, yeah.
percentage, whatever your number is, because that's what you're not taught. A lot of times, school is just gonna teach you how to work. They really don't teach you how to save.
Mm. That's true. I mean, that's not done until final years of school, and by that time, those kids aren't listening to that. They're just trying to go to the next level in life.
All right.
So, absolutely.
So it's like a parenthood type situation, like whatever your parents taught you about money, whether it's hiding it under the bed, in the mattress, digging a hole in the yard, uh,
You learn those habits
you learn
from
those habits.
who you've been
Oh,
around, who
yeah.
you've experienced.
Oh,
Okay, so the next topic that we need to unpack, it's a meaty one. It's a big one. Shared finances.
mm,
And this typically is the case for those who have went on to marriage. For the
mhm.
most part, you
For the
do
most
have
part.
those who share finances when they've been in long-term relationships. But you remember, what was that back in 2000 and was that 18? We created a Tumblr.
Uh-huh.
Um,
We haven't used in a while.
we haven't. I think that was the beginning of what we're doing right now. It was
Oh,
just in word form.
okay.
But we created a Tumblr. It's called the Conceptual Couple Irisi. Um, but that's just a name drop if you look it up. It's pretty old, but you can definitely find it on Tumblr. But we had one particular post where we discussed a variety of household economics, right? And the biggest question, there were three questions that we posed. Should couples pool resources together in a separate account for the sake of bills? Should you each have a specific list of bills that you each pay? And should you stream all of your resources together and appoint one person as the primary manager? And then from there, siphon it back out to your independent accounts. I'm going to keep 300 of this month, and then the rest is going to go to our shared banking account.
All of that comes from legit. Like it all comes from, or it has to do with the couples, each specific. None of that can be, put into a general,
Mm-hmm.
okay, everybody needs to pull your money together, or every couple needs to have separate accounts. You got to know your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
You got to talk to your spouse about that. They're all good ideas,
Mm-hmm.
depending on your spouse, depending on each other's spending habits. You got a spouse that makes great money but has a gambling habit.
Mm.
Just be realistic with yourself.
Yeah.
Should you have a joint account? Hey, that's on you if you go there and your money's all gone, right?
Mm.
Let them have a separate thing. Um, Same with the whole separate situation. It can cause an issue because certain that's just like sharing credit cards. Remember
Mm-hmm.
when I was um, having this credit cards and the availability of it. Like I told you, just in case you need gas, baby. You don't have your wallet at that moment. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Having
Resource available.
that resource
Yeah.
there definitely is helpful. So, but the level of trust that you gotta have to be able to allow your partner, you gotta really decide and be realistic with yourself.
Yeah.
Don't
Don't force it.
don't force it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing when it comes to the time, the moment that you decide that we're going to pool any resources, whether it's we have two separate accounts and then we have a joint account that we share from certain amount of money, or if we pool all our resources together, like that's a big one. You have to have that trust because that money, like they say, root of all evil, that'll break you down if you have all your money put there and you're expecting there to be $5,000 and you go there and there's $100 available.
Talk about hot.
Right, you talk about that's these spouses be legitimately like not just an argument. That's you have people that get violent over that.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the answer to those three questions is do what works for you and your
That's
relationship.
it. But you this is like a tool to kind of use that mindset to have that conversation.
Absolutely. You have to be willing to have those conversations. I know early on we had the
What you laughing at?
conversation of
What you laughing at?
we had the conversation of finances. And that was something that, I was very intentional with Jamar when we did speak because that's really pretty much what we did for about a year into our relationship. We talked and we talked and we talked and we talked some more. And we talked about things that I've never talked with anyone else about.
Mm.
And so we opened up doors that had never been opened up
Right,
in our past relationships.
right.
So we got into those spots. We talked about those taboo things, and finances was big. Babe, do you trust me with your finances? And to be honest with you, I don't think he initially did.
What?
I don't think that you initially, when we had those conversations, you weren't into it. Like, I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't think again having those conversations is still comes from a space of past experience, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
it considering what you know of my past experiences with women and money. Right. So you already know what it was. So that was, breaking down that wall.
Yeah.
That each how they say you build a wall when something you don't like happens. So you
Mhm.
add a brick.
Mhm.
Having those discussions with you helped me take down a brick one by one. And so we
Mhm.
broke that wall down.
Yeah.
So I don't feel, not to say, I don't know how to word it, maybe I was wrong in terms of not trusting you as my spouse when it came to finances, but at the same time, it was something that had been, you know, hard into me,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
so it took time. It wasn't that I wasn't willing,
And
obviously.
I didn't push. I just know that you were apprehensive, and like we just discussed in the last
Apprehensive,
episode,
definitely.
you are a product of your experiences
Exactly,
sometimes, and
exactly.
so I get it. It would have been foolish for you to step in and go, yes, let's pull all of our resources together.
Here go my money.
Here
Who
go my bank card
who
number.
who was that we was talking about? Like the old folks they were talking about, and that's a big thing.
my
Like
my Madia.
right,
My Madia. Let
he
me tell
used to
let me tell the story, baby. So my Madia, my Madia,
say
my heavenly.
grandmother. People don't know what
Oh, I'm
Medea.
sorry, my grandmother.
Everybody ain't from
Everybody knows who a Madia is.
whatever,
My
man.
heavenly grandmother and my grandfather
Bless her
had a
heart.
unique relationship. She was the stay-at-home mom. She stayed, she took care of the kids the best way she could at the time that they could with the resources that they had available. My grandfather, Ira, would come home and he would give her all of his money.
Mm,
Here you go. Here's all the money so that you can stretch it to buy groceries and to pay bills.
mm,
I'm gonna take a little bit of this, maybe $20 for me.
mm.
That's big.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you how big that is. I'm gonna hit. It hits so many points. A man giving all entrusting all his money to his wife. Hit. Understand this. One, he can't be cheating. He ain't got no money to cheat with.
Absolutely.
Two, he can't be out there gambling.
No.
And ain't only $20. I don't know what you
Well, he
finna
can
do
gamble with that $20.
with that
But
$20. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he not out there making that. It does shut down a lot of foolish decisions on a
Well,
man's
on a
part.
man's part.
On a man's part. On
yeah.
a man's part.
Yeah.
I said that. Um, there's the possibility again. That's a big trust thing. I don't know how many y'all I can't speak. You know how many men would be able or available to do that nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, hear me out.
I hear you, baby.
Just for the mindset of, again, going back to our spare card situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, keep this card just in case, emergency, gas, wallet or what have you. How can I give you all of my money if an emergency happens? If and when an emergency happens, come on now.
Well, you gotta understand the time frame,
right?
Where we were,
exactly.
Where they were. I came from a great grandmother and two grandmothers who had husbands who did the exact same thing.
Right.
Here you
Maybe
go.
one car in the household.
No.
Two cars.
Two, sometimes three.
But here's what I'm saying is, if you leave me with 20, well, okay,
it's
gas is different.
It's the time.
It's
so
time
let's
frame.
just say this
so gas,
in this day and age,
right.
You would take 200 out.
Right, because
but
ain't no way.
But that's to hold you until your next pay period. And
no matter what it is,
time,
a week
you
or
get weekly, bi-weekly. Yeah, I don't know too many people that get paid monthly if they're not federal employees.
Right.
So, but it worked for those strong women in my life and my grandfather's.
So we're not telling people to do that.
Not at all. Not at all. Because that may not work for you. She may not be as strong with the finances.
Man.
You have some women that I know whose husbands take care of the finances. Do you understand that that's all I want out of life? I'll go to work. Babe, can you make sure all the bills are paid? I don't want that worry on me.
You know what? You ain't never told me that.
I have told you that.
I don't remember that conversation.
I told you that for so long.
Well, you got to remember, again, when we became one, the strong, stubborn, bullheaded, independent that you are and were, you was handling what you were handling.
handling it, but I would love if you would just take over everything.
Okay, well, look, here, you don't be spilling beans on the cast like that. I ain't know that.
He knew. He forgot.
I forgot.
So at the end of the day, I can say this until we are blue in the face. Communicate, plan, stick to the plan.
Trust.
If you need to deviate from the plan, communicate that.
But along the lines of, again, trust, be realistic with your trust. Don't entrust, okay, babe, I trust you with all the money. If you truly don't, because that's going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. If your wife comes, guys, if your wife say, let's pool all our money together, and you're not ready for that step, not to say no, just to say, let me get some time to get to that point. Let me get some time to feel completely comfortable. Say completely comfortable. Don't say like you're not comfortable. Say completely comfortable with it. And I'm sure a woman will give you time, but it's growth. Any change takes time. So she has to understand that. But yeah, don't please don't go into that and just blindly feel like it's gonna happen, it's gonna work itself out, because we all know money just don't work itself.
And what's crazy is, um, you can't be foolish with your decisions. Pray about it,
Mm,
listen,
listen,
and then make a decision.
and then make a decision.
And so that leads us into our next topic,
Uh-huh.
our last final topic when we're talking about funny money, is the power struggle.
Mm,
Sometimes you in a relationship, just like I described with my grandparents. You're in a relationship with someone who is most of the time the breadwinner. Some of the time, I'm not gonna say most of the time. Some of the time, the breadwinner,
mm.
the higher tax bracket, the person who makes the most money, and you are not bringing in any income. Now, is your spouse going to misuse that position? You know how you have that leader in the household? Is that leader going to abuse his power?
Hey, so okay. Mm. Well, hold on. That's not funny. So that's not funny because you that
It's two sides to it, babe.
you're
It
right,
is. It is.
because it don't come from just man or woman necessarily. Because I make more money than you, there are individuals like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Those individuals that just money rules everything around me.
Mm.
And right. And so because I make more money than you, I'm I'm more important. Because I make more money than you, I'm a better person.
Mhm.
Because I make more money than you do, I'm smarter.
Mm.
I'm stronger. Like
My needs come before
my
yours.
knees come first. Wow.
Mhm.
Wow.
Mhm.
Nah. Can't be that.
Well, it can't be that, but
Can't be that.
that is indicative of that person as a leader.
Mm. Hey, listen. Because listen, that's my
As the king of the
listen,
household, how are
listen.
you going to rule? Are you going to rule
A
fairly
tyrant.
or unjustly?
Okay. So now you're talking about democracy. for, for real.
I mean, but it's important for you not to be subjected to financial abuse. Ladies, this one's for you.
Mm.
It is important for you to have a plan. Have a financial plan for yourself.
Well, not just ladies having a financial
Well,
plan. Don't say it like
I'm
that.
speaking specifically to the
Oh
ladies.
my goodness.
Have a financial plan.
Fellas, I'm gonna talk to you. But seriously, don't be doing us like that.
I mean, but as leaders, men need to lead their households correctly.
Understood. Completely
You have to,
understood.
if you are entrusted with this role, don't abuse it. King,
Oh,
I mean, I'm saying.
oh. Well, and and again, that how many people know how to lead? You take you. We always think of leadership in that fashion, because throughout history, it's like the king has all the money, so he rules,
Mm,
right?
mm, that's true.
Don't let me bring in Donald Trump. Anyway, but, but the thing is like it's normally because I'm wealthy, more wealthy, I should be in charge.
Mm,
And does wealth make intelligence?
absolutely not.
And does
Absolutely not.
the
There's nothing worse than someone who is dumb
talk about it?
with a bunch of money.
Talk about it.
There's
Come
nothing
on
more.
now.
There is nothing more dangerous than
Amen
a
to that.
person who is
Amen.
uneducated,
Mm,
unwilling to educate themselves,
mm.
and got a little bit of pocket change.
A little bit. Man, he carried around 3 million in a duffel bag. What you mean a little bit?
It's bad decisions waiting to happen.
A little bit?
Mhm. But we don't want to veer off course. There's the opposite side of that for the men who make the most money in the household and don't lead properly. You have women in the household
Thank you.
who don't want to
Thank you.
bring in any money into the household,
No.
or make excuses as to why they can't bring money into the
Mm.
household. So when you get home, he's been at work all day. It could be either sex. I'm not even gonna make it about male or female. The breadwinner is at work for the most of the day. The other person is home, be it with kids or not with kids. If there is one thing that you can do for your spouse, it's to make them feel appreciated.
Amen to that.
It doesn't have to be that you have to clean a house every day, because when you got kids, we all know.
Hey, whomever that person is, right? If
Yeah,
you just stay at home, whatever, you better know your spouse love language. Hello.
true.
Because at that point, that's the only way you can show value
Mm-hmm.
into whatever it is that you're doing at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If
Mm-hmm.
it's, acts of service, had a house clean, something cooked, something.
Something that we can't be unrealistic and say clean a house every single day.
Right.
We
Something.
can't say that.
Wash
But we
clothes.
can say that you're putting forth effort to show
Fix
your spouse
something.
that they are appreciated.
I fixed the dryer.
You did.
You know.
You did. You
So it's
came
like,
home from work and fixed the dryer.
talk about it. You listen.
Yeah.
You better tell them.
You did. You did.
You
So
know.
at the end of the day, we don't want your significant other, your spouse, to feel taken advantage of. You have to show some level of appreciation. You have to compromise. There's a lot of things that you have to do: compromise, communicate, appreciate.
I love that word.
It's an important word, though. It is. And when we talk about these things, it helps us because we're sitting here. I don't know if you can hear us sparring live. I mean, this is the authentic conversation
Really?
that we're having.
Because I didn't know.
Yes, you did.
No,
but it's very important to have them, no matter how uncomfortable. The first step in having these conversations is go to a neutral location and have the conversation. It should never be in a demeaning way.
Right.
It should never be in the midst of an argument.
You
spend all the money.
You can't be in front of the kids.
Oh, it cannot be in front of the children. There are certain things, there are certain adult things that should not be discussed around children. Let the kids be kids.
Yeah, that's when they gotta go to the movies or go over friends or what's the Medea house.
Are there any Medeas left?
No, don't nobody. No.
Okay. Well, anyway, you also you also have to make sure that the environment is conducive to have a conversation. It's kind of hard for me to have a conversation with him while he's staring at the TV.
The game.
The video game.
The NBA finals. Hello.
Well, I wouldn't intrude on something that you're so passionate about to have that conversation. Okay. It's gonna be a neutral time where we're both able to have a conversation.
And attentive.
What's very important, something that I'm big on this. I write down my thoughts so that I know I'm not going to deviate from these topics. I'm going to make sure I stick to these because this can turn into something else. This can be an argument about the ladder outside instead of being about the washer in the house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you want to make sure you have some talking points.
Okay.
You want to make sure that you have these conversations early and you have them frequently.
And not in a place of anger, obviously.
Absolutely not.
Not in a place of anger. You do not, last thing you want to do is coming off of an argument or at the moment of you're upset. Hey, let's talk about this way you handled this money situation, or what happened to the $500, blase, blase. Just, it should never be, maybe go out to dinner. Make it in a nice, neutral, but maybe even pleasurable space to have that conversation. Money is it's one of those, it's that topic that's so touchy.
You know how people say when you come to an animal, and I'm not comparing humans to animals, but
why not?
I'm not, but I'm using it as an example. When you are approaching a dog that's unfamiliar, or maybe a dog that is familiar to you, if you approach that dog in aggression, that dog is going to give you aggression back.
That's any human being,
right? So if I approach my husband out of aggression, he's going to match my aggression.
Or that wall gonna go up.
He gonna do what they say, keep that energy. He's going to match me. And so if we're both operating with such low level frequencies, we're not going to get anything accomplished. So just be intentional about your conversations, family, when it comes to the important topic of money. Be flexible. Be as flexible as you can be. Be realistic. Don't go in making unrealistic demands when it comes to money. No, I make $150,000 a year. No, I'm not going to allow you to have free reign on the money that we bring in when you're unemployed. I mean, that's just unrealistic.
Yeah.
It's unrealistic. I mean, I'm not going to allow you to make poor decisions with our money because that's our security.
Look what you just said. You said Medea was at home. She didn't work.
She didn't.
But you just contradicted yourself.
I didn't. I didn't contradict myself. I said I'm not gonna be unrealistic. See, Medea in her era, they were raised on totally different values, a totally different value system.
Okay.
Right? And Medea also had more than 10 kids.
Ooh.
So
I don't know what Papa did for a living, but you said I heard the number 150,000 in there, and somebody didn't work.
Somebody did not work, but what I do around this house is work.
Okay.
What I do around this house is work. My
contribution. I'm not arguing.
My contribution to this household is very important.
I'm not arguing with that.
Now I know that we have a mutual goal. That is to raise these kids in a safe environment so that their bellies are full. Yes. This roof is not leaking. These walls are not about to cave in. Right. I understand that. I know that I want to raise intelligent kids who are mentally stable. And we both share this goal. So when you're giving me the money, you know that I'm not going to take advantage of it. Right. But back then, there was not the same outside influence, static and influence. Okay. Yeah. It was not the same.
Those pressures, I got you.
So, if that
wasn't legal then,
right? If that works for you and your household, by all means, make that work. But you can't be with somebody who does not have, who is not financially savvy with funds to have access to your funds like that. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. I can understand.
If I don't know how to save, if I like to go out and eat every day, if I like to buy the newest Dior bag or the newest Fendi shoes, and I don't work, I'm not gonna give you my money. I'm not gonna give you my pen.
What's your pen?
So yeah, I hope that was helpful, family. I really do. So this segment is a lot longer because we're gonna hop into our next topic, sex.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex.
So, the conversation. You ready to get into this one, baby?
I'm ready. Come on, this is my conversation.
Oh my goodness. So, sex.
Let's talk about it.
The sex conversation is not one that it's easy for every couple. You have conservative couples, you have uber religious people who grew up in households where sex was taboo. It was not okay to be sexually free. It was save yourself till marriage. Don't ever have sex.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it is important for couples, married or otherwise, to understand that your sex life can lead you to one or two things.
Don't.
Being cheated on, or a divorce or breakup.
Okay.
When we got married, I believe both of us came into it with our basic levels of expectations, right?
Right.
And the biggest thing for most couples is monogamy.
Right.
But we've been groomed as a nation that exclusivity comes from both a moral and religious perspective.
Right.
So that's just something that has been ingrained in us. Now,
Mm-hmm.
don't get me wrong. There are some open marriages
Mm-hmm.
that thrive
That's yeah.
and they work.
Wow.
That is not the norm. That is not the norm, but it works. Um, but most of the nation takes on a monogamous outlook
Your perception.
when it comes to relationship or marriage.
Sure.
Now, when we talk about monogamy, sex plays an important role in that because most of the time that is the action that takes place.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. You have other forms of cheating, but monogamy meaning you're the only one that I'm going to be physical with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, but what tends to happen and where couples sometimes find themselves struggling is they use sex as a tool.
Mm.
You know, I do this for you.
Poison.
I'll do this for you if you do something for me, or I'll give you some if you do this for me.
Never trust a big butt and a small. Ah.
But it happens. Men do it, and women do it. But it's a situation that it becomes transactional and not the intimate emotional exchange that it was meant to be.
Right.
So we're going to break down 3 things that we feel couples have the most issues with when it comes to sex
Right.
and your lifestyle. So the first one's going to be
I'm trying to be cool.
the first one's going to be frequency.
Frequency, right?
How much should Now we're talking from a married couple's perspective. A married couple's
Yeah,
perspective.
definitely.
How much or how frequent should a married couple be intimate?
In the house, live together, sleep together.
Live together, sleep together every night, 30 days, 31 days, 28 some months.
Frequency
Mm-hmm.
should be
Mm-hmm.
whenever the opportunity rises and the necessity is the feeling is there.
So
Should
every
be
so every urge you get, you should
act on it.
act on it.
But see, yes, but not always necessarily, I guess, physically, just straight penetration, maybe. I'm saying because yeah, you should act on every urge. I mean, eh,
Now, now, hold on now. We don't have that much time in a day for all of the urges that some of you
somebody.
fellas have. We don't have that much time in a day.
Hey, listen, reasonably, like I said, you got kids, obviously, you do got time in the day. You just got to be reasonable about it because, okay, your kids running around, they coming in and out the bedroom, they want your attention. They can hear certain things at certain times because they're in certain spaces in the house.
Hmm.
Um, normally that comes from a place of the kids asleep.
Okay, so you're giving me ideal, right?
Ideal.
What about expectations? Like, I would be okay. I can function if I had it this many times a week.
I don't like that dynamic. Let me start with that.
Okay.
But that whole, I don't know, every other day, 3 to 4 days out of a week. It's 7 days in a week now.
Okay.
So every other day is 3 to 4 days a
Okay.
week.
Okay. Ideally.
Ideally.
Ideally. And we also have to take into account, like you said, family life. You have women who are and men who are at home with stair steppers. You have babies under a certain age who cannot be left unattended. So your intimate time is
They're in the bed.
when the heads are on the beds.
Yeah.
And by that time of the day, how are you feeling?
You're tired.
You're tired. And
Right.
so, there's a lot of things to account for. You also have people with medical issues that may not be able to be
I said
as
reasonable.
I know you said reasonable, but I want to hit all facets of it. That may not always be able to perform at a high level, may not be able to perform at the level that you met them at.
Right, right, right,
So
right, right.
what do you do?
See, okay, that's a whole for me. That's another aspect because that's a necessity, a part of your marriage. If that was an expect, I think you grow. People get older, and older couples to say, I don't know all older couples, but you would think most older couples either because of medical, because of energy, because of just age and heart conditions, whatever, whatever, they're not having that as much sex as frequently as
Right.
often.
Absolutely.
So, but let's say, which they always say with a man, we have our erectile situations, or we have, our stamina, or even
Hmm.
testosterone as a
There's
whole.
there's pills for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's my point. I
Okay.
feel like if you get to a point where noticeably your sex drive, your frequency goes down, you should at least do the work to try to, you know, gain it back, to
Yeah, absolutely. Try
maintain it.
try your best, and if
Try your
those
best.
don't work, then we're just gonna have to figure out some.
We gotta figure something else
Got to be creative.
out. Creative.
Got to be creative.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um. So it's something that you have to have a conversation with your spouse, your significant other with. What do
Listen,
you expect?
they first and foremost, for me, I get it. I was raised.
All day, every
Listen,
day.
all day, my listen. That's from the marriage retreat, y'all. Look, so if I feel like if you messed me up.
Sorry,
If
you were raised.
you were raised,
Hmm.
you know, any type of Christian background, any type of, let's say, Western religion, right?
Hmm.
Um, it was looked at as, like you said, marriage is meant for sex is meant for marriage. I'm sorry,
Okay.
and that's reserved for that time and that place in your life. And but the truth of the matter is, you if you were to really save yourself for marriage,
Oh, you finna get into it.
man,
Oh,
come
okay.
on. If
Go
you was
ahead.
really
Go
gonna say,
ahead.
come on now, if you was really gonna save yourself for marriage, and let's just say you dated five. For me, for instance, I dated 5 women in my lifetime, and I saved myself for number 6. We got married, but we weren't sexually compatible. Overall, she did not go with all day every day. Number 2, um, you know, uh, the time frames didn't match up. She didn't like 20 minutes.
Hmm.
She was only a 5 minute. I only like 5 minutes.
Hmm.
Let's say she didn't like the size.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's sexually compatible. Like, she don't like. Okay, well, I don't like. No, you can only have sex with me in the bed, on the bed, face to face.
Okay.
Let's talk about it. We gonna talk about it straight up.
Okay.
So, you know, and let's say woman number 2 in my lifetime was completely everywhere I wanted to be when it came to be sexually. She liked everything that I liked.
Hmm.
She was totally into what I was into. But because I didn't, not to say you got to be out here just, what they say in these streets,
Hmm.
but I honestly feel as if, you test out a kiss and they have safe methods of you being able to, go about your sexual encounters.
So basically, what you're saying is, if you decide
That it's a
to
possibility.
cook in the kitchen
Yeah,
long term, you need to
yeah,
taste the product.
definitely.
Okay.
What was
Okay.
that you told me about the cow?
Um.
Not the milking and stuff, but you know, just I don't remember. But anyway, that may not pertain to this. But anywho, I just thought about it.
So
Cows is fed to eat beef or something to
no.
become slaughtered. I mean, anyway, that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. But no, I'm just saying, like legit, you gotta know.
What you getting yourself
What you're
into?
getting yourself
Oh.
into, because you get into a marriage, a long-term, lifelong commitment with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
and sex is not good between the two of us.
But you can make sex good.
Oh, lie. Come on, the mic right there. Explain that. Tell me how.
Well,
Tell me right now. Nope. Ooh, stop. I'm gonna hit you with some guidelines. Tell me how you can, you like, I'm trying to be as PG as possible.
okay.
You like this length,
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, go ahead.
this size, you like this time frame, this amount, this length of time of a sexual encounter, you like this said,
Well,
these said
but
positions.
I wasn't talking about me
I
specifically. I'm
ain't talking about
saying
you. I'm talking about general.
people can make it
I'm just saying.
work.
Come on now.
They could. Some
Come,
people
come
can
on
because
now.
sometimes it's
Come
about
on now.
sometimes it's
We
about
come
the
on now.
intimacy.
This is realistic. Come on now. I don't care. You could love somebody, and you can. Love does give you leeway.
Okay.
It bends. It bends for a situation. But let's just be real. Over time, okay, you could go 5 years. I love somebody. I love this woman to death. I do anything and everything for her, even spend the rest of my life having bad sex with her. Come on now. Now we supposed to be real now. You
Well,
know what I'm saying?
I
Like, okay, we went 5 years. Year 10 come, and you know, your
so
mind
so do you
get
think
to
bad?
doing some
So do
stuff.
you think bad sex will lead to divorce and bad sex will lead to cheating?
It don't necessarily lead to divorce, but it definitely leads to some type of, you know, for infidelity.
Mm,
It's without a doubt.
mm,
Without a doubt, you lying to yourself if you say otherwise.
mm.
and
I,
and not necessarily sex on that. I would say intimacy, intimacy, because we did talk about if somebody intimacy.
we gotta. That's gonna be our last topic.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. Well, I'm just saying,
We're gonna
like,
talk about that because that's a big
because
role.
if somebody
That plays
can't
a big role.
physically have sex, let's say, you know, like somebody like myself, military man, and you know, let's just say, I hope it don't happen, but let's say you injured from the waist down or neck down or what have you, and you can't physically, as long as you hit that intimacy in your
Hmm.
woman's space.
Okay, well, and that's something that we had to cope with early in our
Oh well,
relationship.
yeah, because of the
We
distance.
were away from each other
Because of the
for
distance.
over a year.
Yeah.
We had our spurts where he would come into town, but
Oh my God.
for the most part, he was in another country working. So we had to be creative. And that leads us into our next topic, sexual exploration.
Mm.
This is another reason why some couples have issues with sex because you can be long distance and your spouse or your significant other ask you for
Hmm.
Skype sex.
Video time, baby.
Are you
Uh,
that adventurous to do
come
that
on with
for
it.
that person while they're away?
Let me tell you, you better jump on that video.
I mean, everyone is not that
Open.
open to it,
Yeah.
but
No.
if it is meant to please your significant other, will you bite the bullet and do it?
That's ultimately the compromise plays a role. It still comes back to that different conversation, but compromise, you have to be willing,
Mhm.
the willingness to try things,
Mhm.
not necessarily to degrade yourself, but you know, between me and my spouse, if it's pleasurable for my wife, if it's something that she wants to, why not try it and then decide whether or not, if I like it, if I can deal with it, if I can accept it,
Then I'll do it.
then I'll do it. I mean, if it's coming, again, like I talked about before, if something's coming from a place of love, if it's coming from your spouse, you know it's coming from a place of love, not malintent. Um, you got to take it in stride. It's a partnership. You have to be willing to try things you've never tried before to get a result that you've never had before.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Well, what
And the
if?
result is spending a lifetime with this one person.
Well, what if you like to be adventurous and you like to um, pull over and have
They do that car thing.
adventurous car fun?
Oh, that open or on the side of the street.
I mean, and your spouse is like, no, I don't want to do that. What if somebody sees us? Are you completely turned off by that? Are you going to hold that against them?
I
Or
think, see, it's every again, come, something I said before. Change comes in small steps and over time. So if your spouse is not willing to do necessarily that, okay, let's pull up on the side of the road. Let's get out the car. Let's go over there and do our business.
mhm,
Why not take it in baby steps? Why not go in your own gated backyard?
mhm,
We outside. Let's see how we like this.
mhm,
Let's take it in small increments. Let's pull up. We could do car sex in our garage just to
mm.
see if you open to just
The
the
dynamic,
dynamic
yeah,
of in the car.
mhm.
If if you flexible enough to even that small
You know,
space.
everybody doesn't have Meg's niece.
Hey, look. And for the big sisters,
Hop in the SUV.
hey, straight up, like so, just the the mindset of being open to the possibility of doing it, but getting there. You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying?
mhm,
Like everybody don't jump off the 15-foot diving board the first time. Let's start with that 5-foot one.
mhm.
And so I think the patience in anything and everything when it comes to life, relationships, if you want your spouse or if you expect some behavior to change, one, you got to be patient.
Mhm.
You got to take the time to work with them. I got to work with you to
That's
get
good.
to that goal.
Yeah,
And sex is included in that.
yeah. I've actually seen and know of several couples who one of them stepped out and the rationale is not valid at all, but their reasoning was my wife wouldn't do this with me or my husband wouldn't do this with me, so I found somebody who would. And so
That's a
sometimes,
big one.
that pride takes hold. Like you can't make me do anything, but that's your spouse.
That's your obligation.
Are you gonna bend for your spouse? Or are you gonna let your pride rule?
Mm.
And so that's big. Sometimes you gotta step
Hey,
outside of your
the
box.
Bible say be submissive.
Well, that's a whole different episode
Well,
because we can definitely get into that. But that
the
that's a
Bible say to
whole
be submissive.
different episode because it's not just be submissive. But we will not get into that right
Listen,
now.
I got you.
We won't get into it right now, but we will. I'm glad you said that because we will talk about it.
You gonna talk about it?
We gonna talk
I'm
about
probably gonna be asleep during that episode. I'm gonna be asleep.
it. Okay, so that was sexual exploration. Our last one, which encompasses the other two, is intimacy. Relationships lack intimacy.
Mm.
And intimacy is not always sex.
That's why it always gets misconstrued. Most of the time, when you say intimacy, especially to a man, and I'm just coming from that aspect, all we thinking about is, oh, she want to kiss for like 20, 15, 20 minutes, or oh, she wants me to go down on her.
Mhm.
Oh man, like I'm just trying to get to this. So what the dude say, so I can get mine. You know.
And that's the furthest thing from what someone who is pure in the
Uh
relationship.
huh.
Now you got some women who is, hey, this is what I want you to do, and then we can move on to that, and then we good. But there's not a lot of women like that.
Yeah.
But there are women in relationships who want more than that. It's not about a kiss. Yes, I want a kiss. Yes, I want that. But I sometimes I just want physical touch.
Intimacy.
Sometimes I just want to sit and pillow talk with you.
Look, intimacy come back to what else? The 5 love
The five
languages.
love language. Sometimes I want to sit in the car and ride the city with you. Sometimes I want to see you fix that dryer
You
because when
better
you get done,
come on.
come on in here.
Come on
I
now.
got something for
I'm gonna
you.
fix the drive. I'm gonna break it right now so I can fix it again.
I mean, it's important. Intimacy is important. I was talking to my sister, my best friend, and shout out to Angela. I was talking to her, and she explained to me that her husband and her had an opportunity to reconnect on a deeper level, and it had nothing to do with intercourse. It had everything to do with, we're just gonna sit here and we're gonna listen to our breaths. We're gonna intentionally look at each other, and we're gonna physically just be skin to skin.
Mm.
That's deep, y'all. If that
Transference of energy.
if that's all it takes, why not?
Mm.
Is that too much to ask for?
Mm.
Because women are different. We're emotional.
Mm.
And so you have to connect with us on an emotional level before you can connect with us on a physical level.
You ain't gotta say it like that.
Well, it's the truth. It's the truth.
But
The box doesn't work
oh my goodness.
until you primed it.
Until you primed it.
You have to get it ready
Well, that's a
to go.
lawnmower. You gotta push that primer button
It's
on
a
the
lie.
lawnmower.
No, that's not. Is that a lawnmower?
Yeah,
You
that's a
know,
lawnmower.
I thought the primer was the. Never mind. The weed eater is the primer. The
Yes.
lawnmower is the pulley.
Lawnmower got a primer too on
Oh,
it, baby.
okay. Well,
Yeah, I'm
anyway,
cutting no grass.
I was cutting grass for a long time, but anyway, I never pressed the prime button.
The prime button. That make it easier to start it.
Well, so you got to prime us men
Yeah.
and women. We got to prime our men.
You better tell them again. Say it
We
again.
do. Men are different. They're not always emotional.
Mm.
Sometimes they're the complete opposite. They just want you to go straight into what you are intending to do.
But that's, you know, knowing your spouse's level and needs and frequency of intimacy. So if I know that what you like intimately is to have these conversations, I'm gonna talk to you, baby. You know what I'm talking
We
about?
gonna talk
We
about
gonna
it.
talk about it. You know what I'm talking about? So I can go ahead and prime
Oh goodness.
it.
So yes, it's important to connect with your partner's love language so that you can reach them on that level of intimacy.
Because intimacy could just be conversation. It could
Yes.
be that simple.
Hmm.
And that's where,
Your time.
man, it gets so, yeah, time,
Hmm.
time, time. You hear a lot of women say that, and a lot of men miss it.
Hmm.
It's just, I want to be around you. I want to be in your space.
That's it. I may get on your nerves
Oh my
asking
God.
all the questions in
Oh
the
my God,
world,
please.
but you allow me in your space, and that turns me on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is, it's as simple as that.
You here right now.
We think men are simple. We are simple. As soon as you learn our language.
Okay.
When they say men are from Pluto, women are from Mars, or was it the Saturn? It's another planet.
Venus and Mars.
Venus and
We
Mars?
supposed to be from Mars. Y'all from Venus.
Okay. Well, we on different planets. We gotta learn each other's language. And it takes time. It takes time. It's trial and error. Be patient, as Jamar stated, be patient with your spouse. Allow them to mess up sometimes. And then go back to the drawing board, figure it out. I know who we went to a cool Addison hookah lounge in Addison, Texas last night, and we sat in our own little corner
Yeah,
and
watch
we listened to music. I
the
drunk pineapple juice. He drunk
cranberry
cranberry
juice.
juice.
Yeah.
And we sat there and we talked about life. We talked about intimate things. What can I do to make your experience better? What can, he do to make my experience better? It was a non-confrontational interaction, and it was really authentic. It was organic. It just happened. And sometimes you just have to wait until that opportunity arises to attack that very important topic.
Don't miss the opportunity.
Yeah, don't miss it.
When it's open, when that time, if that conversation comes about, hey, close doors. Give the kids $20 to go to the movies.
Yeah.
You got to take full advantage of whenever it is that your spouse is open and ready to receive that information.
Yes, listening ears and open mind.
Man,
It's Very important. And sometimes loud music in the background, your conversation will drown all of that out
Mm.
if your spouse is ready
Straight up,
for
because
that
I ain't even
conversation.
noticed what was going on. We was like really deep into it.
Yeah. So, well, guys, this is by far our
I
longest
know, right? We got into Miss
episode.
Nasty time.
Oh goodness. we we tackle some pretty important topics. Money. Just to recap, money. Have those conversations with your spouse about spending habits, expectation, how we gonna pay bills. Um, how would you like us to handle the money? Do you want me to handle it? Are you better with money? If your spouse is better with handling money, relinquish that to them. Trust that they can handle it, and then move on. Monitor it every now and again, but then let the reins go. They got it. They're gonna make sure y'all are straight. That's what the trust is, right? And then we tackled the topic of sex in a relationship, in a marriage, to say the least. And so it's very important to um, build that bond with your spouse. Spend that time. Have those intimate moments. Be adventurous. I can't say have it more often because everybody's not able to, but be intentional about it. Don't schedule sex. I don't think that's very fun. Oh, we're gonna have sex on Thursday. Ooh, that's not fun. I've heard about it. I probably need to ask some questions to see if anybody that I know does it and how that works. But scheduling is not fun because, I just like it to be organic. I like
Yeah.
to be in the moment and allow it to happen. But if Friday 5 o'clock is the time that I say it and I get off of work and it's Friday 5 o'clock and I'm tired, I gotta pray to Lord, Lord, please just let me get ready for this moment. And it's just not the same. It's just not the same. When you gotta pray through it, it's not the same.
Well, it's just about taking the time out to keep it in mind, just like conversation, and taking the being intentional, like you said, being intentional about whatever it is that you're trying to convey to your spouse, whether it's I'm here, I listen, I understand, I'm here for you, um or just to convey to I want you right now.
Hmm.
However it is that you convey that, like they say, body language speaks the loudest. If I pull you close and kiss you softly, I want you right now. Understand the message, but communicate,
Hmm.
communicate,
Hmm. That's the overall topic at hand. Communicate those things.
compromise.
Don't be afraid to have those tough conversations. Well, you guys, you stuck through it. If
Mm.
you have reached the end of this episode, kudos to you. We appreciate you. Please let me know if you listen to this whole podcast
And
episode.
if you have any ideas,
Yes, topics.
mhm,
We are taking them. If you'd like to be featured to discuss a topic, let us know. We're more than welcome. We more than welcome you to the table. We're gonna have to get us a table and call it. We can't call it red table. We'll have to call it uh a table. I don't know. Maybe a box, cardboard box. I don't know. Backyard Chronicles.
right?
Yeah. Anyway, pay me no mind. You guys enjoy this week. Um, have a blessed week. Have a joyful week. And again, as I stated early in the podcast, if you're going through something, talk to somebody. Find a willing listening ear and just bounce your emotions off of them so that we know that you have someone who is going to give you sound advice to work through whatever it is you're going through. And we'll be praying for you. And that's it, guys. Thank you for another episode of Unpacked and Unplugged with the Britons.
All right.